Flosstube, my name is Catherine. Welcome to my channel, Stitching in Costume. If you're here for the first time, I'd like to say welcome. This is my sewing room. This is where I come up to escape from the day and do a lot of stitching. I stitch all over the house, but this is my primary getaway spot. And I'd like to welcome you. So this is where I talk about my cross stitch and a little bit about other sewing, but today it's all about the cross stitching. Now I know I have a bird clock that's probably gonna go off mid-sentence, so I apologize for that in advance. I could put it in another room, but this is where we are. I've already filmed this one time, to full disclosure, and I deleted it accidentally. I've never done that before, crazy, but I love you so much that I forgo doing my stitching, which is what I really wanted to do at this time, and I'm gonna make another video for you. So, and let's face it, this is for me too, because this is a record for me going forward of things that I've stitched and things that the materials that I've used and things like that. It's a record and hopefully a joyful expression of my love of stitching. So my intention is to be that other person in the room, keeping you company. And I'd like to start off by saying thanks to my son Calvin for the music that you heard in the opening segment. He wrote that for me. I love it. Thank you, Calvin. Okay, here we are. It is Thursday, September 26th. We are almost at the tail end of Sampler Symposium, my favorite time of stitching. I actually stitch samplers. If you've been here before, you know I stitch samplers all the time, but there's something special about knowing a lot of other people are joining in on some of the samplers that you're stitching to, or they're starting things and you get inspired by what you see on Instagram. By the way, on Instagram, I am at Trinkety, and you'll see me comment, post, and things like that. It's all about my stitching on there. I'm also on Facebook as Catherine Johnson Adrian, so if you see me pop up requesting your friendship, that's who I am. Okay, so let's jump in. So let's jump right into it. So we're in we're in fall. This is the beginning of fall. Now we still have pretty warm weather here. I'm lucky enough to live in a part of California where it's not really, really hot. We're closer to the foothills of the Sierra Nevada. So if you think of Sacramento, we're very close to that. Sacramento is pretty warm, but we're a few degrees cooler. Weather report, why do I give you that? Because it informs my stitching. Now, when it's super nice outside, we tend to be outside gardening. We have a lot to wrangle on this property. Dogs that need to be walked, and they rule my life. And a husband that likes to go hiking and, you know, hang out with me too. So we tend to do a lot more in the summer, and I find my stitching suffers just a little bit, but that is kind of not the case in September. I really do make a concerted effort to get up here and do the things that I love to do. I hope you're stitching something great. Okay, so I'm going to start off with my finishes. So I've got a couple of finishes here, and I'm going to start off with the smallest one, and it is Souvenir de France. So this is a freebie from Blackbird Designs, and I tweaked it a little bit. So I made it have the Olympic rings because I wanted it to reflect my time watching the Olympics with my family. And I put the year, I just kind of wonky put it in there. And I stitched this on a color and cotton. It's called Carrera Marble. I used a 36 count. I kind of used whatever flosses I felt like using. So it's just a black DMC, and it's also a black etoile. So I don't know if you can see it here, but the Eiffel Tower sparkles. I talked about that in my last video. I actually got to go to the Eiffel Tower, and when it was all sparkly, lit up and just right over my head, was amazing. So yeah, I just finished this as a flat fold kind of thing, and I put the baker's twine all the way around it and a little hanger on top. I'm going to put it on the Christmas tree is my plan this year, and a little black cotton on the back is all. Simple, so simple. You can still find this freebie. If I can find it, I'll link it for you below. I had it in my stash forever. But if you type in Souvenir de France freebie, this will pop up. My other finish is a Blackbird design. I'm going to let you look at the background because I left it over there. I'll be right back. And this one, I felt like, whew, this was quite the effort for me, and I don't know why. It just took me a while to finish it, but here it is. It's done. This is on a 36 count Legacy by Picture This Plus with the called for flosses, and this is Oh Joyous Day by Blackbird Designs. There she is. Look at that. It's beautiful. Now I haven't personalized it yet. I'm going back and forth between putting in my kids' names and or initials and their birthdays, their birth years, or my husband's and my anniversary. So whoever is nicer to me in the next 2 weeks, that's probably what will happen. They will get the personalization. That was bad. But you know, they have to be stitch worthy. So that is it. It's beautiful. Now I've said it before when I've shown this, for some reason on the video it tends to look like it has a little bit more punch to the color. It's very soft. It's very, very soft, which I tend to go for really big, bold colors, but this is just perfect. Love, love, love. All those doodads and whatnots took me time. All the satin stitch borders, those little triangles, the borders, sawtooth. Those took me a moment to get into the rhythm, but once I had the rhythm of that, they went so, so fast. You can do just an ordinary cross stitch instead of doing satin stitch, but I thought, well, let me just give it a try, and it was really, really super easy and went quickly. So there is my finish of Oh Joyous Day. Okay, so this one is Birds of a Feather. This is, and now I'm jumping into whips. I didn't even pause. Right into my whips. I'm right into my samplers. Since I've already filmed this once before, I'm probably going a little bit faster than I normally do, but I guess I practiced. Okay, so Birds of a Feather, and this is called Happy Heart Sampler. I got this from my friend Angie. She sold it to me. And this is being done on a 40, let me make sure. No, it's 36 count. Bee's Knees by Seraphim Fabrics. I'm using the called for flosses. And this is where I am. This is something that I was stitching at night when I would sit and we would be watching television. I have a little Halo Go light. So I do have light and magnification, but it was still very difficult for me just because this chart, it's very tiny, and there's some places where it's packed together and kind of confusing. So I blew it up on my printer, but still it was still kind of hard to see for me, so I kind of put it down. And now I've heard, if you have been watching Sherry from Colorado Cross Stitcher, she has been in talks with this company to get the rights to reprint these. So I'm very excited for that. I'm excited for all of us. So if you like this, hopefully this is going to be one of the first charts that she reprints. It's so good. And I probably will be buying all of the charts, even though I own this one. I feel that I would buy it again if it was charted a little bit easier. You know what I mean? If I could see it a little bit better. So usually that is the case when people have been recharting things. They usually make them a little bit more readable for us. So that's where I am on it. And you can see when I stand back, because I do have a lot of light right now, because it is almost 5 o'clock in the afternoon, so the sun is really streaming into this room, and I have light, so it's blowing things out a little bit. But if I pull back a little, you can really see the true color. That's the warmth right there. So that is Happy Heart Sampler. And I'm going to move on pretty quickly here. Now I have been putting things away, so I'm zipping, I'm unzipping. I left this one down there. I'm going to grab it. Actually, I'll wait. I'll grab it later. Let's do this one. I'm sorry. I'm kind of like, I want to get through. I want to talk about all this so that I can stitch before dinner is ready. Dinner is cooking. That's good. Okay, so this next one was something that I think it was in 2023 market. I had to have it. This is by Shakespeare's Peddler. Cathcart Colquhoun, 1785. Just love it. Love, love, love it. I'm going to hold it up here so you can look at it. Very pretty. And I got a 40 count color and cotton Mozart is what I'm doing this on with the call for DMC. And I didn't change a thing when it came to the DMC. So let me show you where I am on it. I just started in the bottom. I've been starting in the bottom corner for my samplers and working my way up now. I don't know. I used to start in the upper right. Now I tend to start in the bottom. I think it depends on, I want to get to the motifs maybe faster. I don't want to have to, you know, do all the vegetable eating first by doing all of the alphabet. But what I'm going to do with this is go up and do some of the other things and then move back down. And that way I can kind of cut my fabric off if I need to. And I also can work between motifs and alphabet. So that's where I am on Cathcart. And I did leave in, this is actually how she misspelled her own name. What did she do? Carcart. God bless her. So I just left in her mistake because I'm not changing a thing with this. I kept all of the flosses the same. And this is something I did too, I'll talk about. I make a working copy for me because I'm old school. I work on a Lowry stand. I stitch two-handed. I use a highlighter and I cross things off. That's just how it works for me. Sometimes I can work from good notes on my phone, but a lot of times I'm using my iPad to watch Flosstube, or I'm listening to an audiobook or something on my iPad, so I don't tend to use my iPad for anything other than listening. But anyway, so I do make working copies, and so when I photocopied the copy for this, then I just photocopied the key and I put that just on a piece of cardboard or, you know, cardstock. And I wrote down what I was doing it on. I do that. I do different things, but I always on my floss ring, I always put what the project is because I have not done that before and then lost my floss, not knowing where my floss was. And then I find some big wadded floss and I'm not sure where it goes. So now I always label everything. Okay, let's move on. So this one is a new start. And I'm not going to even, I think it's Cece Smith. It could be Cheesy Smith. It could be Sassy Smith. Dutch sampler. I'm not sure. It's by the Scarlet House. Came out in 2019. Not terribly big. It's 185 by 145. And I am doing this one on a piece of, this is Tropical Stitches Optina in a 40 count. And I got all the way around that border, oops, the very first time in one day. I mean, the first day I worked on it, I got the bones of the border all the way. So I was pretty jazzed about this one. It just seems magical to me now. It has a special power. And then I did those two motifs. So I'm flying through this one. I really, really am enjoying it. And you can see it's not packed. It's got enough. It's got all those great motifs, but I don't feel like it's so jam-packed that I'm having to stress out. But of course I've just started, so Look how pretty. I'm going to pull back so you can see the color of the linen. It's a cooler beige. It's perfect sampler color. I'm excited about this one. I'm using all the called for flosses, and they are the am I doing them all? I think I'm doing them all. I might have substituted one or two just because I didn't have them in my stash. I'm trying to stitch from stash for the smaller things. So, I mean, things that are kind of the flosses that have been started, but I don't have a full skein left. A smaller sampler like this is a good thing to use that for. So I try to pull that whenever I can. Sorry for the zipping. I've already put this all away, and then I had them unzipped the first time. Sorry. Okay, so this next one, Hobby House Needleworks, a sampler drum. The sampler drum, it's Mary Alcorn 1764. This was a kit I bought. I saw Brenda the Sampler Stitcher do it, and I had to run over and grab it. I'm not sure if this is still available, but they will be, I know they will be releasing the sampler. It might be soon. It might be next year. We get to see the sampler, which has all these motifs on it. Beautiful. I'm not very far, but I did pick it up. I'm trying to show you things that I have actually worked on this month. I've tried to do quite a lot of different things. So I've got Thornfield 40 count, and I'm using the called for flosses. Again, I've showed you this. This is just the top of the drum. I put my initials there instead of Mary's. Very pretty colors. That's the true color. And then we have the piece I worked on. I think I did one of the hearts, and then I just worked on the alphabet. Super easy, but again, this is not something, most likely I'm not going to pick this up and work on this at night when I'm watching television. I get too distracted, but I probably could. It's not that difficult, the stitching. Once you get into the groove, especially on the dividing bands, it's pretty simple. Love the birds. So that was that one. I'm kind of flying through this. Now I know my bird clock is going to go off any minute, so. Okay, let's go on. This was a new, did I start this? I should have known. I feel like I started this last time, but I just started it. I worked quite a bit on this at the beginning of the month. This is Sarah Milthorpe, and this is by Hands Across the Sea. I'm doing this on a 40 count dirty teacup with the called for flosses. I kitted this up at the attic. So, all right, let me show you where I am on this. So here's my beautiful flosses. And this is from, oh gosh, Steph, Late Girl Stitches, gave me these floss drops. Steph has a great floss tube. Please go watch Steph. I will link her below. Anybody I talk about that's a new floss, well, anybody floss tube, I usually link in the drop down menu below. Steph had a great video. She has so many beautiful projects, things I either am working on or want to work on. So yes, Steph, Lake Girl Stitches. So let's show you the project. Did I bring it up here? I did. Oh, okay, so this is on one of those Edmonds frames. And I've talked about those. I talked about it last time. I had it, I'm going to just unroll it a little bit. I don't want to take it all the way out because I'm lazy. So you didn't hear me say that. That's where I am on it. I worked on the bottom. I got that bottom border. Let me see if I can do this properly. Bottom border. And I did the cartouche, but I haven't started to fill in the over one yet. It's not going to be hard. I just didn't have the Tudor silk in my bag. It's up here. And so I carried on with the border and did a couple more motifs, and I got this tree done. I know, oh, if you haven't seen Karen Combs' latest finish of this, it's beautiful. Go check it out. Karen Combs, she's so, I love her floss tubes. So again, this is a Dirty Teacup, and that is the true color. It is just gorgeous. I'm sorry, I'm not taking it out, but that's as far as I've gotten. So most likely this will not be coming out for the rest of the month. I have a couple other things that I'm planning to work on in the meantime, but let's move on. So I've got, this is another start, and this was my birthday start for me. I mean, I did another birthday start. Okay, that was fast. And this is Frances Eden, 1809. I saw Sally, the Tudor House Stitcher, do a beautiful finish of this, and it made me run and buy the silks from Victoria Clayton and get a start on it. Do I have it up here? I don't have the silks up here. I think I left it downstairs. I'm sorry, let me see. This is the problem with me. I ran all over the place getting ready for this the first time, and then I finished it. I thought it was all done. I put it all back away. Now I have things downstairs, upstairs. They're all over the place. So I don't know what I did with the floss for this, but they're the Victoria Clayton silks, and I'm using a 40 count platinum, and that's where I am. I got that house pretty much done. I have some fill-in left to do on the roof. I went ahead and started on that other motif, which I love. And oh my gosh, I could not be more thrilled with that house. I just love it. Now I have a lot to go. It's a huge sampler. I am not, and this you can get. It was out of print, but now you can get it from 1884 Stitchery. She did a rechart of it, and it's a beautiful chart. I got the PDF version, and so it was, I'm sorry, there's another clock here. I'm going to talk over that clock. That's a special gift for our daughter and her husband for their anniversary. Anyway, I got the PDF version, and I really love working from it. I love the border, but I am not going to be doing all of those lazy daisy flower stems. It just is not, I've got too many things I want to stitch. So I'm taking a cue from my friend Kim, the Contented Needleworker Kim, and I'm leaving that border off. And to be honest, all the Instagram finishes I've seen of this, they don't show that border. So I feel like a lot of people just just leave it off. And so that's what I'm doing too. And I do love the platinum. It's plain. It's not over dyed, but because these are not over dyed, those silks, that it feels like it's okay. It feels like it was freshly stitched by the little girl just, you know, a couple of weeks ago. So this is also on platinum, and this is the ES Spot Motif Sampler, which you can also get on 1884 Stitchery. Was previously impossible to find, and now we can get it. So this is chock full of beautiful, beautiful motifs. And you can see that this one, hanging next to that one, they're going to be really, really good friends. And this one is just awaiting its frame. I just haven't taken the time to get the frame put on that one. So I think that's all I have for my sampler September stitches. So I'm going to talk a little bit about my upcoming plans, and I'm going to show you first a couple of previous sampler finishes. So I've got oh, this one I don't think I showed last time, but I have a finish on Harriet Elizabeth Coe, and this was done on a 40 count Dirty Teacup. And make sure I'm telling you the right thing. I know it's Dirty Teacup. It's actually 36 count Dirty Teacup, and I used the called for flosses, but I subbed out the red was supposed to be pomegranate, and I subbed out Tulip by Belsoir, and it's a bright red. and it looks almost exactly like the cover, which is what I wanted. And that is my finish of that. And again, it's just laced here, and I have a little library card with, I'm starting to do that more now, where I keep a library card in with the project that I'm working, so that I know, I remember when I started it, what I'm using, all the details. So this one is awaiting its frame as well. And what else do I have here? This one is by Joyous, and this is the Pink Sparrow Sampler. I finished this one quite a while ago. Let's see here. It is on a 32 count, and I know I don't stitch on 32 count anymore because you have to use 2 strands of floss. Not my favorite way to stitch anymore. I feel like I get a lot more done. I stitch a lot faster with just the 1 strand of floss, pulling that 1 strand and go, go, go. So this one I framed myself. You can see most of the things I do, I don't put glass on. If I had it in a room like downstairs where we get a lot of dust, I would have glass. But it's up here in my sewing room, and I'm going to start a sampler wall right outside this room. So we don't really get a lot of traction. You know, there's not really a lot of, you know, in and out, doors open and all of that dust. So most likely I won't be doing a lot of glass, but we'll see. I can always get the glass cut after I get the whole thing done. But I just love this one. This is all the called for flosses. Again, on a 32 count that I Rit dyed. What did I use? I think I just used a beige. I very lightly modeled it. You can barely even see that it's Rit dyed. Just tiny. And then I entered this in the local fair, got a blue ribbon. So that was fun. There's that. And then I also have, okay, I need to calm down. So yeah, something fell, but nothing broke. Everything's good. No samplers were injured. I have this one, which I absolutely love. This is Anne Morrison 1830. I love this one. Now I entered this one in the fair and I got a 4th place, but I think it's because I framed it myself. Maybe they didn't like that I left a big margin on this, bigger margin on that side. It's hard to get these straight edges to line up well, but the stitching is beautiful. Let's see what I used here. I used the called for, so I got this as a kit from Traditional Stitches in Canada. And I just bought the kit. It came with Access Commodities linen. I used 37 count, and I used the DMC. And this was my first time really doing a lot of eyelets. So you can see there's eyelets all over the place. I love that crazy alphabet. I do believe this is a Scottish sampler. This is out of print, but you can find it on the secondary market. It's been up for sale a lot, so you can still find this. It's beautiful if you get a chance to stitch it. Not pretty. So those are some of my favorite samplers, and none of those samplers are terribly large. So I mean, I think one of the first things I really wanted to stitch on, I mean, I stitched on that and finished it, and then I wanted to do Anne Tong Uffendell, which she's not framed yet. I'm not going to show her right now. I'm going to show her later in the year. I have plans for her. But I jumped right into the deep end. I mean, once I realized I love samplers, I love the stories they tell. I love all the colors. I love the motifs. I love the stories that the motifs tell about the time that the little girl lived in. And, you know, I get all caught up in what was she wearing. I'm all into historical fashion, so I'm always curious, what was she wearing when she was doing this, and what was the fashion at the time, who was in power. So I start to think of all those things when I'm stitching on a sampler, and it just makes it so rich. That stitch is so enriching. All right, so those are some of my favorites, and I'm going to go right on into, I wanted to talk a little bit about, I talk about tips sometime, and I have a way that I do a pin stitch to finish my stitching. So like I said, I love to stitch two-handed. I will do the sewing method sometimes. I will poke and stab when I have to, not my favorite, but two-handed stitching, and I use the needle like a shuttle kind of. So like Vonna Pfeiffer gave that description at one point where she doesn't turn her needle. She just goes up and down, grabs it, puts it down, grabs it, puts it up. So it's like that. So I'm pushing the back side, what you would think the eye of the needle comes up through the bottom, and I grab it and pull it up, and then I put the point side down. That's how I stitch, and it goes super fast. So I also wanted to pin stitch, because even though I have a Lowry stand, that motion of loosening that, turning it over, and I have magnets, and I have you know, my working copy magneted to it and things like that. I do it, but I was trying to find a way to do it quickly. So there are lots of ways to do a pin stitch to finish your stitching so that you can snip your thread, and they all look just fine. So I started to do this pin stitch, and I haven't seen anybody else really talk about it, and it's a way to finish with a pin stitch, but you bury your threads in the middle underneath the floss. I made a little video. It's not the best quality, so I'm gonna ask for your grace in watching it, and it's just a quick little demo of how I do that kind of pin stitch to finish my thread, and it's right here. I've made my first X here. I'm going to kind of hold that top thread out of the way, and you can see there is the center hole that I'm going to come up through. I'm coming underneath that first leg of that X, and I'm going to come down through the bottom left. Let's see if I can do this through my, sorry if it's wobbly. And then I come up through the bottom right. And now I want to go back in through that center. So I'm going to wiggle my needle into that center hole. And again, I try not to pierce the threads, and then I get a tug, and then I like to pull my needle up through when I'm finishing, because I'm finishing. I pull it up to the top of my fabric, and I'm pulling it quite tightly. I get my curved Kai super sharp scissors, and I'm going to pull tightly and snip, and that will snip it off, and the tail of that thread goes underneath, and it looks pretty good. It's pin stitch ended, but you can't really see much of it in the way of a pin stitch. It just looks like an X. Alrighty then, so that's, yeah, I hope that can help you. I hope you try it. Things like that are always kind of fiddly at first, but if it works for you, let me know. I hope you like it. Okay, so let's see here. Let's go on with things that I'm planning. So I have a couple of things that I'm hoping to start. I don't know if I'll get a start before the month is out. If I don't, they're going to be right up there in October. Number one is, again, Scarlet House. I've had a Scarlet House frenzy lately where I've wanted to start all the Scarlet House. And this one I found at the attic in Mesa, Arizona. If you're not familiar, if I just blow through things, it's not the attic upstairs here. It's the attic needle workshop in Mesa, Arizona. I was lucky enough to get to go to Sampler Symposium this year. Got to meet a lot of incredible people and buy a lot of fun things and learn a lot with some really incredible teachers. I've talked about all that before. I got really jazzed up about that. One of the things that I saw on the walls there was this. It's a 7 sheep sampler by the Scarlet House. This picture, as you can tell, is very dark. It doesn't do it justice. It is absolutely gorgeous. That border, oh my gosh, just how meandering that is. Just everything about this just ticks all the boxes, as they like to say. It is so great. And the verse, I'm not going to read it because I'll start crying. I have done that before. It's just means a lot to me, and I love the verse. So I'm doing it as is. I bought all the called for flosses when I was there. I ran around buying those. I had to sub out a couple things because I think they were out of one. So I had to, anyway, it's all in here. There. Now, here's what I would love if you could give me your opinion. This is a 40 count Bee's Knees by Seraphim, which I love it. I think it would look absolutely fantastic. If you look at that, that kind of looks like that. The cover photo. It looks great. And I think it would really, all those lighter colors would just pop on that. So this is probably my first choice. I'm not sure if it's wide enough. I have to do some math here. This one is 292 wide. This piece is, let me see how wide this is. I think it is 18 inches. So this is just the 18 by 27 cut. I'm not sure it's going to be big enough. I'm not afraid to use a 1-inch margin. I feel more comfortable with 2. 3 I think is too much. I don't need 3, but 1.5 I might be able to get away with. So that might be what I do. Now this other piece is what I bought at the time. This is a 36 count, and this is by Fox and Rabbit, and this is what I bought to actually do it with. So this could be what I use as well if the other one is not gonna be big enough. Let me tell you what this is called. This is Fox and Rabbit Dirt Track. And I got a really big Stitcher's half. And that's, woof, beautiful. Absolutely beautiful. And again, I mean, it's just a matter of pulling out the flosses, making sure the flosses don't get lost. There are some colors that might get lost on both of these pieces. So I'm okay. I mean, when you look at the cover, things ghost on it. It's going to be fine. I'll still absolutely, it's for me. I'll love it. So that might be what I use. It just depends. I mean, this is my first choice, I think, just because the warmth, you can see how different they are in terms of warmth. This one's so much cooler. So we'll see about that. That will be a start. And then I also have this, and this, as I'm thinking, as I'm talking to you, I think I'm deciding this will be my October start. This is Autumn Fractor by Plum Street Samplers. A lot of people have done this. I love it. And I have a piece of Tropical Stitches 36 count Susanna, which looks very much like the picture to me. It's kind of that earthen, kind of cool. It's cool. And sometimes I like, you know, and these are the colors. So we've got some warm colors on this cool, but I think they work. That's the way they look on, to me. That's how it looks here. So I don't know, as we age, our eyes change and we see color differently. So my eyes are reading that this is cool and those are warm, and I'm not mad about it. I kind of like it. I think it's going to really make the oranges stand out. So that will be a start. That will be a start this year. And I think it's going to be in October. That would be a fun October stitch. Okay, I'm going to clean up just a little bit and then I'll be right back. Okay, it's getting warm in here, so I'm going to push through here. So I have just a little bit of haul. I've got a piece of fabric here. So Tropical Stitches, if you are not familiar with this fabric, this is fantastic. When people talk about a fabric having a very good hand, it means just the way it drapes, the way it feels. I don't really stitch in hand, but I really appreciate a good piece of fabric that has just the right texture for me. And this color is gorgeous. Now, I did my little PinStitch tutorial, so that's why you see a hoop mark on this, but I haven't ironed it, but it's beautiful. So it didn't come like all wrinkled. I manhandled it. This is a 40 count. It's Optina. And again, we've got that kind of cool, I really gravitate towards that cool beige, I think, for samplers. Even though Dirty Teacup is my favorite, and Dirty Teacup is more warm, so, and even, you know, Platinum has a little bit more warmth than something like this, but I love it. So if you sign up for Tropical Stitches newsletter, she sends out when she's having sales, and she sends out when she's got new colors and all that. So yeah, definitely encourage you to do that. I love this. So I also got this, Be Kind. So Sherry of the Antique Needleworkers, she started her own design company, and boy, if somebody, she should write a book on how to start a business, because she did it perfectly. Just the way she announced it, the beautiful product that she sells. This is a gorgeous chart, and I'm going to be buying a lot more from her. I did this. She had a freebie that Stop, Drop, and Stitch. I haven't stitched it yet, but it's on my menu, and that's a freebie on her website, and she has a really beautiful reproduction that I want to get as well. So can't recommend her enough to go check out Sherry, and I will link everybody that I shopped with. I'll link below, and that is beautiful. And I know that, people are finishing this probably as I speak. It's great, and it won't take long. So that and this I bought. My friend Angie, the Tiny House Stitcher, was not going to stitch this, and so I got this from her, and isn't it beautiful? Strawberry Fields. I've wanted to stitch this, and I've got a piece of 25 count Darling David from Those Missing Stitches, and it's beautiful. So that's on the horizon. I don't know when, but oof, I love it. Okay, now this is so funny. I have to I know I've shown this before. When I went to the attic, I got this as haul. So this is Susanna Lynch, 1862, and this is by Leela's Studio. So beautiful. And I went into the attic knowing that this was coming home with me. I had it on my list. And while I was in there, I saw this, and I'm like, oh, that's really pretty too. I'm going to get that too. Well, duh, Catherine, that is on this. This is a perfect case of, I liked it so much I bought it twice, but I bought it twice at the same time. That's bad. Kitted up the flosses. This one's not kitted, but you know, I can use some of those if I don't use them all. I have a feeling I'm going to stitch the little one first. I don't know though. Do I really want to? Because this, do I want to stitch that twice? It's just so darned pretty, that whole thing. I really love that motif. I haven't really done a lot of this 1860s. They were just starting to, this is kind of that Berlin wool work, you know, that really condensed realistic stitching. I haven't really done a lot of that, so this would be maybe what I'll do. This, I don't know if I showed this, Mary Nori. I can't remember who I saw had it, but I had to shoom over and get it. It was probably Brenda and Laura. Very dense. I mean, it's not terribly big, but you can tell that is some jam-packed motifs and alphabets. Boy, There's a lot of stitching in that one. So I've got to be ready. I'm not ready for that yet, but I sure love it. Now this was something that my friend Sarah from Sarah's Stitchy Spot showed. It's a freebie. If you go to Hewitt Hill Samplers, you can download this for free. I downloaded it and printed it. Betty Glover, 1837. And I love that period of time, the 1830s. I just love it. I love that for samplers. It's very symmetrical. I love symmetry. I love the costume. So I probably will start with just stitching her. She's just so darling with the, you know, feathers coming out off her hair and the rose in her hand. What else does she have in her hand? I'm not even sure. Very pretty. So anyway, you can get that too. Now this is another I've never purchased before, and I don't know where and why, but this is Wombat stitching on Etsy, and I happened onto her shop and this was like $3. It's a beautiful chart. I love the birds. I mean the roosters. I would do just a rooster and give it out as a Christmas ornament. That is darling. There's so many cute motifs on this, and it looks so easy. I mean, the border is so, it's just, you know, there's no tricks in it. It all looks very straightforward. I like that. So there's that one. I also got this one when I was on her shop too. Again, it was like so affordable. I really go to Wombat Stitches on Etsy and check them out. The swans. I'm doing the Smith sampler right now, which I'll pull up and show you where I am on it. I'm not going to unroll the whole thing, but I'll pull it up for you. I'm just all into swans right now. It feels like, what did I say? Swans are the new strawberries. There's always something that's taking the place of strawberries, and swans are them for me this year. I just can't get enough of them. I'm only stitching on one, but I have plans. So let me grab my Smith sampler. I'll be right back. Okay, here I am, and this is where I am on Smith Sampler. Now, I've already unrolled it, showed it all, and then I was going to work on it tonight. So in order for me to do that, I'm going to leave it the way it is. So just imagine that the bottom part's done. Oh, I guess I should show you the chart. So the chart lives in my Sarah bag. Sarah gifted me this bag she made from fabric she got in France. That is the full chart. So again, Scarlet House. I'm just all into Scarlet House. Look at that, beautiful. I'm doing this on a 40 count Poetic Pony Boy by Those Missing Stitches, and you know I'll link her below. She has beautiful fabric. I wanted something a little darker that would make the whites pop. Kind of does that. Now Pony Boy can pop, but the white doesn't really pop as much as I would like it to, but it is still gorgeous. I'm really loving this fabric. I love this stitch, and I'm doing this with my friend Patty, who lives close by, and I'm also doing this with, a lot of people are doing it right now. Roberta Lyle from Sable Stitchers created this stitch along chart. So she broke it up into little pieces. So hopefully by January, I'm going to be done with this. That was the plan. I started, I think, in January. Yes, I did. And I'm using all the called for floss, all the silks. I got them all at the attic, and oof, it is absolutely stunning. And you know, it was funny because I was playing around with the colors. I'm like, do I really want that to be pink? I don't know. And I started stitching it with some other color, and I said, no, Catherine, why don't we trust the designer on this one and use the color that she chose? So I did, and I'm so glad. I'm so glad I did. Doing it just the way it's charted, and this border is everything. Just gorgeous. Probably one of my all-time favorite borders. So that is Smith Sampler, and I'm probably going to work on that as I listen to, hopefully this is going to, you know, I'm not going to delete my video again because I don't think I can handle that again today. All right, so I think that is all. I'm just going to chit chat a little bit about, there is one chart that I have to talk about that I'm going to go get. So I was watching Trixie Tricycle, which is Jody from Cedar River Linen and Designs. She had a video come out that I zoomed over and watched. She has some new colors on her website. So I ordered Pyrite. I can't wait to get it. I've stitched with her linen before. Talk about perfect hand. The modeling is delicate, beautiful modeling. The colors are subtle and beautiful, and the needlework just pops on her linen. It is beautiful. Please go check it out. You know I'll link it. So I was watching her video and she showed Elizabeth Masterson by the Scarlet Letter, and I had to stop the video and go to the Scarlet Letter and type in Elizabeth Masterson, and I'm looking at it going, that's going to be my next purchase. That will be my next purchase. I'm not ready because I've got so many things right now, but in October that's going to make its way into my cart and I will be getting it. What will I kit it up? I want to stitch it just the way she did. I think Jody might have used Roxy Floss, but I'm not sure. She might have used linen. I mean linen. Well, of course she used linen, but she might have used silk. So I don't know. Well, wait, I'll have to look at her video again. Go check her out. And yes, so that is something that I have a list of things. Let's see. What else? Oh, Annie the Proper Stitcher has some really beautiful charts out there. I'll put one up here that I'm going to get. I can't remember all the names of everything, but they're so fall appropriate. And her little witches are fantastic. They're so great. So I'm tempted to just go print them. I think I'm going to do that. I might just go print them. I don't know. We'll see. It's nice when you get something that's pre-kitted, like you get it and you get it with the floss and everything from a shop. That way you have it all together and you're not having to go on and add all the floss. But anyway, Annie the Proper Stitcher, go check her out. Great smalls for fall is my note here. Okay, Flosstubers to watch. So Michelle Burt, I know my friend Kim, the Contented Needleworker Kim, mentioned her, and she had popped up as a recommendation for me, and this is what I'm going to say about that, because I never tell you to subscribe to me. I'll say, hey, if you feel like it, here's the reason why I subscribe to people, and I subscribe to people the moment I see that they're working on things that I'm interested in, or the moment I feel like they're talking just kind of like how I talk to you. Just kind of impromptu, like in my sewing room. So what Instagram or what YouTube does is it will pop up, it will feed you recommendations. So you'll see like all these videos on the right side, however you configure yours. Mine pops up on the right hand side of what I might want to be watching next. And they'll throw up recommendations based on my subscriptions. So like I subscribe to a lot of people that stitch samplers and Brenda Gervais and Blackbird Designs, and I already subscribe to that. So they're going to start showing me things that people that stitch the things that I like to stitch subscribe to. So that's why I say, if you like what I'm stitching, go ahead and subscribe. And you know, I don't get money for this. I just do it because I love to do it, and I love to have a record of things that I've stitched. And someday, hopefully, my kids will watch these. Hi, kids. Get back to work. Okay, so anyway, that's Michelle Burt is somebody that popped up as a recommendation. So I started to watch her, and I got halfway through, and I said, that's it. I'm subscribing. So I subscribed to her. She is fantastic. She does a lot of Lori Holt. She does a lot of Blackbird Designs, and she does samplers like Little Robin Design samplers and other things. So I really recommend her. She has she's young, and she's young. She's younger than me, which most people are, but it's nice to see people that are young and really enthusiastic about stitching the same things that I'm all into stitching too. And so she stitches all kinds of things, but those are just some of the things that she stitches. Now this is a must watch for me, and I cannot recommend this woman high enough. Denise Black Ribbon Stitch Studio. I'll put it here. I'll link her below. She has an interview with Brenda from Brenda and Laura, and she goes to Brenda's house, walks around and takes video of her whole house. It is amazing. If you haven't watched it, do yourself a favor and go watch it. Now it looks like she's still kind of figuring out her aspect ratio, like which way is she filming, you know, so there's a little bit of I'm doing this and getting in really close and getting my glasses on. So there's a little bit of that, but I'm telling you, just to sit in the same room with their conversation was pure stitching magic. I cannot recommend her enough. Please, please go watch her. Okay, so I think that's all I have to show and share today. I'd like to thank you for taking your time to spend with me. I really, really appreciate you. I appreciate you coming back, and hopefully you want to subscribe. And I will see you in October sometime, probably towards the mid to late October, and I'll have some finish to show you. I don't know what, but I'll finish something. Okay, happy stitching, everybody. Bye.